Colors. That's what strikes you when you first see China. The eye is drawn to the bright and unusual hues. The color of a river, the gleam of a flower, a sculpture, a monument, a traditional costume, or a precious object. So why not explore China through the filter of colors? At Danxia in the extreme south of China, close to the border with Burma, is the most beautiful tract of redlands in the world. Qisheng Song is a photographer. He knows all the best vantage points from which to photograph these redlands.
Since we can't see anything, are you taking the opportunity to do your exercises? If you'd come yesterday, you'd have seen everything. Right now, the fog is too thick. We can't see anything. Maybe we should go down into the valley. Can't see a thing.
You won't see any sunshine today.
I've been interested in photography ever since I was a child. I picked it up through my family because my uncle worked in a photographic studio. As a result, I inherited his passion, and I've been taking photographs for 30-odd years. Could you come over this way a little so I can take your picture? It's just a few snaps, don't worry. It won't take long.
To here?
Yeah, that's right. Here. Come closer. Turn around slowly. Down a little. Turn this way. Lower. That's good. Further to the right. The light is beautiful. Very pretty. That's great. Oh, this one's really excellent.
Let me see.
Here, look. What do you think?
Is that what I really look like?
Yeah, you look great. All the peasants in the area know me. I've been around the region for a long time now. I was coming to take photos long before it became a tourist attraction.
Before the region became known worldwide for its redlands, Danxia province was mostly rural and quite poor. Today, the locals rely on government investment in tourist-related infrastructures to break free from what is still a precarious existence. Qisheng Song understands the issues related to tourism. He and his wife have opened a boarding house where they welcome guests from all over the world.
Here you have fish, fried eggs with tomato, meat, Locally produced pork, potatoes, soybeans, chicken. Help yourself. Make yourself at home. For me, cooking is a little like photography. Everybody loves it, right? It's something we can all share.
When the mist finally lifts, it reveals the famous Redlands.
The land is red because it contains iron and copper, which oxidizes on account of the humidity. The result is this very special terrain whose landscapes have formed a beautiful, God-given palette of color. Photographers from all over the world come to capture this unique setting. In summer or early autumn, the light changes the colors. This is a magical, magnificent place, a paradise on earth.
A 3-hour drive northeast of Beijing stands another iconic monument that embodies China. The Great Wall. More than 6,000 kilometers long, it was erected in the north of the country as protection from Mongol invasions. The most ancient part stands in the province of Hebei. It is mainly made up of loess, a yellow sedimentary rock formed by the wind-blown accumulation of silt. Construction of the Great Wall began in the 3rd century BC and took 2 millennia to complete. Today, it's being degraded by human activity and erosion. Liang Qingli has always lived in the region. He knows every secret of the Great Wall and is its self-appointed guardian.
You see this color? It is magnificent when the sun illuminates these bricks. Look at its reflection. It looks like gold. The walls are built with bricks made from sticky rice, lime, loess, and sandstone. The color of these bricks is very similar to that of the mountain and its surroundings. Back then, those who built the wall used the materials that were to hand. Look what I found. This is called a shilet, an ancient grenade. They'd insert gunpowder and a fuse and throw it from the wall. This weapon, shilet, dates from the Ming Dynasty 500 years ago. Sometimes I go looking for them on the wall, searching amongst the rocks or in the fields. For example, this morning I found this near the bottom of a tower. It's a fragment of a stela with characters. It is very striking. Come along, follow me. From here you can see a second watchtower, down there in the trees. In those days, they'd signaled that they'd seen the enemy from the towers with smoke. When the enemy was spotted, they'd shout, "The enemy are coming!" Seeing the smoke, the soldiers would make haste to assemble at the tower and organize its defense against the invaders.
All the watchtowers are linked by a protective wall 6 or 7 meters tall and 4 to 5 meters wide. It allowed soldiers to move around quickly and in large numbers.
Here, we're on the ground floor of a 2-story tower. Imagine a tiled roof over our heads. Come, this way. This is an arrow slit. There used to be a bell for sounding the alarm. The soldiers were posted here and took turns to mount guard and watch for the enemy.
The Great Wall hasn't been used for military purposes for over a century now. This oldest part has been long abandoned. Its stones were even used for construction during the Cultural Revolution. If only one soldier remained to defend it, King Li would be that soldier. For the last 10 years, he's worked for an NGO which is fighting to preserve the Great Wall of China.
Welcome to the Tangshan frontier of the Great Wall of China. Today, in the mist, it is even more beautiful. When you visit the Great Wall, ladies and gentlemen, be careful not to leave behind any waste that would spoil this lovely landscape. I'm counting on you to do what it takes to preserve this exceptional monument of our cultural heritage.
Thank you. We'll heed your advice.
The wall is like an elderly person. It is very tired. When I'm too tired, I'd like my children to continue my efforts and preserve the architectural wonder that is the Great Wall of China.
From ancient times, yellow has been associated with one element, earth. This yellow earth with which the Great Wall was built that we find everywhere in the north of China, and especially in the troglodyte village of Lijiashan. Hundreds of painters from all over China meet up here to commit to canvas all the shades of yellow offered by these dwellings dug out of the mountain. Construction of the village dates back to the Ming dynasty, more than 5 centuries ago.
There are many elements of Chinese culture here. The way the houses are arranged and decorated. Everything here tells of our traditions. This is what makes these houses so beautiful. None of these caves is identical. That's what gives them their charm. And that's also what makes people want to paint them. First, I use diluted ink to draw the structure. Then I work on the colors. Just look, in the sun's rays, especially at sunrise and sunset, the range of colors is extremely broad. And that inspires me a lot.
South of Sichuan province, where the climate is milder, tea fields stretch as far as the eye can see. Tea originated in China. The tea plant has existed for 70 million years. More than a drink, tea is an institution in China. It's a central part of daily life and one of the country's main crops. In many villages, all the inhabitants make a living from tea. Plantation is like a huge forest made of small bushes kept at a height of about 1.2 meters by regular pruning. They form what is known as a plucking table, which makes hand harvesting easier and promotes bud growth. As the tea plant is an evergreen, its leaves can be picked all year round. Mianlin Chen is the plantation's owner. He took up tea growing 20 years ago.
The soil in this field is especially suitable for tea cultivation. A moist soil which produces very high-quality leaves. The yields are huge every year. It means I can sell the leaves at a high price. That's why I asked the pickers to pick the leaves correctly at every harvest. It is the only way to ensure consistently high quality. Look at this wonderful soil. See how moist it is? That's why tea grows so well here. It's thanks to the quality of the soil.
I was born and bred on this land. My whole family grows tea. We have worked in the tea fields since we were born. We pick the leaves in the morning and sell them in the afternoon. That's how we earn our living every day. I'm picking buds with one leaf. We only pluck the small leaves. We don't touch the large leaves. If you take the lower part of the stem, the tea leaves will have less taste. When we pick the leaves on the buds, we only take the top leaves. We ignore the lower leaves. The more you pick, the more you earn. If you work hard, you earn more. That's the way it works in the fields. The spring harvest is the most important in the year. There's a lot of work. It's the best time to pick the first buds. So we start work at 7 in the morning and finish at 7 at night, all day without stopping. We work so hard in spring because, for tea growers, it's the most profitable season. There is a Chinese proverb that says, "Spring yields the year's profits."
When they've finished, I go back over to make sure they've picked all the young shoots. Here, look. They've forgotten some. Look at this stem. The leaf has already grown too big. If they don't pick the leaves correctly, it's simple. I lose money. You have to taste the tea to know whether it's good or not. It's like good wine. The taste depends on the quality of the product.
In northwestern China, at 3,200 meters altitude, lies the Tibetan High Plateau, bordered by the Kunlun Mountains. Here in the autonomous province of Qinghai, lives a multi-ethnic population, 1/3 of whom are Tibetan. On this high plateau, more extensive than France, the blue of the sky is reflected in China's largest saltwater lake, Qinghai Lake, also called the Blue Sea. Qinghai Lake stretches over 5,000 square kilometers. It's fed by the springs of 23 rivers. 50 years ago, that number topped 100. To the Mongols and the Tibetans, it's a holy lake, which they call Kokono, the Blue Lake. It's surrounded by farmland and pastures used by the Tibetan nomads, who are imbued with Buddhist culture. They live in harmony with nature amidst their flocks. Zengatia and her family settle on the shores of Kokono in spring to graze their herds of yaks and sheep. They're part of the Chang Pas ethnic group, who the Chinese consider as Tibetan.
This is how we milk the animals. Then we use the milk to make tea. Tea made with female yak's milk is delicious. Now I'm going to milk another. I have finished milking. Now I'll make the tea. We put the milk in here and mix it. It'll be a treat when we drink it. I'm putting sheep's dung in the stove. It burns well. It will heat the whole yurt. This stove will boil the tea. That's butter, and this is cheese. Underneath is the tsampa. I'll pour the tea into this bowl directly onto the tsampa. Kato, after tea you must go and see the animals.
Yes.
Kato, drink your tea. Here, drink it. Would you like some bread? Here. Take this piece of bread. Go on, Kato. Drink.
Kato, after you've drunk the tea Mother made, you'll go to see the animals with your father. You'll go and help your father. Mother will stay at home and churn the milk.
Yes.
Eat up and go and see to the animals.
Yes.
I am a shepherd. I'm not very good at expressing myself. We are nomads. Nomads of Kokonor. We keep yaks and sheep. That makes us nomads. We come down in the spring. This is our summer camp, and we leave in the autumn. This lake isn't just any lake. It's Trishok Gyalmo.
According to legend, the lake was born from a magical spring where Queen Trishok Gyalmo sent her daughter to fetch water each day. The spring was covered by a stone, but one day the queen's daughter forgot to put the stone back, and the spring gushed forth and flooded the plain with its blue water. Lake Kokonor.
When I bring my yaks and sheep to the shores of Kokonor, grazing and drinking the lake water, I tell myself this lake is a blessing. Its water is wonderful. Lake Kokonor isn't just a lake. When you drink its water, it's more than just water. When the sheep graze on its grass, it's more than just grass. Look, this is the way to do it. The saddlecloth isn't sitting right. I'll have to pull it a little bit. We pull the strap through like that and fasten it here. The tether isn't long enough. Go and fetch a rope. Bring it to Dad, my son. The men who live here aren't just men. For all these reasons, this lake is extraordinary. When you drink its water, when you look at the lake, your spirit is happy and you rejoice.
About 100 kilometers from Shanghai lies the city of Suzhou. Because of its many canals, legend has it that Marco Polo dubbed it Venice of the East. But Suzhou is famous above all for its gardens. They're considered the most beautiful in China. Nine of these gardens are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Suzhou's classical gardens date back to the city's foundation in the 11th century. They were conceived and built under the influence of the spontaneous poetic style seen in traditional Chinese landscape paintings. Master gardeners from each dynasty adapted different techniques to simulate nature by skillfully using and adapting the limited space available. Suzhou's classical gardens are intended to be a microcosm of the natural world. They incorporate water, stones, and plants. These landscaped ensemble of buildings, rocky formations, calligraphy, furniture, and decorative elements are showcases of the most accomplished artistic achievements of the East Yangtze Delta region. The humble administrator's garden houses the region's finest bonsai collection. The art of bonsai was invented in China. It means tree in a pot. Originally an art of the elite, these miniature trees were intended as gifts. Suzhou's gardeners developed their own style, which set a precedent. A style the Chinese call tree branch overhanging a cliff. Fu Min Mao has been in charge of the Suzhou Gardens bonsais for 40 years.
We have to trim all these visible dry branches. This bonsai hasn't been pruned for years. The dead parts have to be removed. All of this is already dead, so I'm removing the bark. I've worked here for 40 years. When I started, some of these pines were the same size as they are now. If they don't grow more, it's because the pots restrict their growth. When you look at them, though, you get a real impression of grandeur. My favorite is this Japanese pine. It's over 70 years old. The curve of its trunk looks very natural. You would never know we've worked on it. I've been fond of it from day one. It's really very pretty. I love it. It grows well. Next year we'll repot it. We'll give it more space so it can grow even better. We're taking this tree to our workshop to prune it. It's already returning to its natural state. Ready? Make sure the branches don't catch on the door. The branches are very long. They already resemble a tree. We absolutely have to cut them and stop them growing. But we also have to preserve the tree's original essence.
Binding or wiring is a crucial technique for training and maintaining bonsais. By wrapping copper wire around the branches of a tree, you're able to bend them. It takes a few months before the branches set in their new position. The copper wire can then be removed.
By watching the others work, you eventually figure it out. First, you have to look at the plant from every angle to see which side needs pruning. Then, you start by trimming the layers. They must all be flat. The branches at the base must grow toward the sun.
I started out as a florist before coming here in 1976. This is where I learned to prune bonsais. Flowers and bonsais are not that different. In 1980, I started studying the art of pruning bonsais with my master. When you start, you first have to learn the basics. That is to say, how to remove weeds and repot the trees. It's a time when you watch the other gardeners discreetly to understand their pruning techniques. When I was an apprentice, my master didn't tell me much. I was rarely allowed to use the pruners. I just did the menial tasks. To learn anything, I'd watch out of the corner of my eye and gradually assimilate the pruning techniques. We're going to bind it now. Otherwise, it will grow straight and won't be at all pretty. Look at this Japanese pine. It looks fairly young. It could live another 30 years, a century even. I will be retiring soon, but it will probably be here for years to come.
In the north of the country is Danxia, an area whose red hills are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. "54-year-old Xing Yilei was born in these hills. He is the man behind the belated discovery of this site.
Around 15 years ago, I often grazed my sheep around the foothills of these mountains. Then one morning, it must have been spring, a car stopped near to where I live, and the driver asked me if he could photograph my sheep. He wanted to pay me, but to be honest, I didn't want his money. After taking his photos, he asked me whether there were any other mountains like this nearby. Yes, I replied. All the mountains behind my house are colored. He wanted to know if it was natural. He didn't believe me. So I brought him here and he went, "Wow, this is beautiful." Then he went home to tell all his friends to come here to take pictures. Before leaving, he told me, "What you have here is pure gold. You should turn this into a tourist site." And I said to him, "What's that you say, gold? But nothing grows here." He said, "Believe me, young man, you should share this site with the whole world." The photographer mentioned tourism, but I didn't even know what tourism was. Nobody around here had the slightest idea what it meant. Because life has never changed in this village. No one has ever traveled. Anyway, along with all my neighbors, I thought all of China's hills were like these. Two years later, I went on vacation to another part of China. I finally realized that the mountains I took for granted only really exist here. So when I got back, I told everybody in my village about it. I suggested they all join me in investing. But everyone told me, "You're crazy. If we build a road, who's going to come all the way here?" Since nobody wanted to invest, I finally decided to do it alone. To that end, I sold all my sheep. I spent all my money building the first road. But during the first year, I earned almost nothing. My wife told me, "Look, don't you see we earned a good living with our sheep? Now we can't make ends meet." I told my wife not to worry, that little by little, things would get better. And the second year, more people came and I earned 10 times more. Then in the third year, I earned between 20 and 40 times more. At first, there were very few visitors. Today, we have tens of thousands. The state bought the road off me and took over running it. I built a small boarding house that allows me to earn a good living.
These colored rock formations are caused by a geological phenomenon in which layers of different colored sediment are deposited. In this case, over a period of more than 24 million years. The site is the result of the impact between the tectonic plates of India and Asia that form the Himalayas. Gradual erosion has brought out the various colors.
The hills are a gift from heaven for the people of our region. People discovering them has changed our lives.
Red yesterday, red today, landscapes or works of art, the color of prosperity is never far away. It has set the Chinese soul aglow down the centuries with a flame that can never be extinguished.